so, well, I have something maybe kind of weird to admit, but I'm kind of obsessed with my website at the moment. Now, you might remember a couple of years ago when I made a little blog type website just about coercive education, which, to be honest, I'm still very much against. But that didn't really go well. At the time, I had a Discord server with the rest of my class, but nobody ever used it outside some trolling and some people, trying to discuss something between that trolling and memes and me, of course, announcing the presence of my blog, which drove up the viewerships. When I left secondary school, the Discord server shut down along with my secondary school attendance. And so the viewership of my old website on WordPress went down. And I think there's a reason behind that madness. They almost went down to 0. And that is because partly because it didn't really have any SEO, and partly because I just plain wasn't that motivated to work on the website. Just kind of looks like my YouTube channel, except slightly different. In fact, pretty much everything on the interwebs is just a white void with content, or a dark void with content. But then I thought back to the 2000s era, and that was the time when using a computer and browsing the internet, it was actually fun. Partly because I wasn't online or had a computer with me all the time. When I came home, I had to, and I wanted to use the computer, I had to ask my mom if I could use the family computer. And then she would say yes or no and tell me how long. So I would turn it on, wait for it to load, and open up the web browser and load in, a Google search and stuff. That was, way more deliberate than just pulling out your smartphone and doing stuff there. I have a big nostalgia to the classic internet. And so I ended up coming across something called the Web Revival. The Web Revival is a movement by people to basically bring the joy back into the internet by creating personal websites. And those websites aren't just white voids with text or videos or stuff, They're actually personal spaces in which people can be themselves and manage their own layout and their own content. There are a lot of names for the Web Revival. There's the small web, the indie web, the web 1.0, etc. And a lot of these sites, including one or two I visited already, were apparently hosted by the website NeoCity, a website hosting service that almost as soon as I discovered it through looking through the Web Revival and the web history, I made an account on pretty much immediately. You see, during the 90s and early 2000s, many people apparently had a personal website, and I got to see a couple of them. I don't exactly remember all of them. As a kid, in fact, I even used to have a little website of my own, but that was on the free hosting platform WebClick. That's a Dutch service that unfortunately recently stopped free web hosting and instead focused on corporate solutions. That aside, another little thing that's worth talking about is, of course, all these free web hosters. They were all the rage, as far as I've heard, back in the 90s and early 2000s. ISPs and educational equipment had those, and if you didn't have any access to any of those, you could, of course, self-host, which wasn't very common because, of course, there were things like GeoCities. Yeah. If that word doesn't ring a bell in you, either you are born beyond the peak of GeoCities or even beyond its shutdown in 2009, or you are living under a rock for the last, 20 years or something, which was not worth it. I was talking about living under that rock, not about GeoCities itself. In fact, it got archived, both in a literal sense by their archive and some other projects, but also in a spiritual sense by the non-profit organization NeoCities. And that is where I have my brand new website going on. As well as that, the NeoCities still has, I think, over 2 million websites. And like, unlike things like WordPress.com, Wix, and they don't place any ads, don't sell your data, they just let you create what you want to create. And I don't just mean through some kind of WYSIWYG editing system, no. I mean literally coding HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML defines the structure and the content of your website. CSS defines the styling of your website, and JavaScript handles logic. And so with these three together, apparently you can create absolutely beautiful, places just for yourself that other people can come and visit. And some people do this because they want to be independent from standard SEO and big tech and whatever. They don't want to deal with that anymore. They just want to create a little website for themselves, where they can put their content and be noticed without anyone interfering with it. That was partly it. My old WordPress website didn't get a lot of views, so I thought I could revise that and take out the content from there and put it onto a new site. But I realized in the process of building my website that writing the text and the code, it's also just the kind of fun that many people don't really get to have nowadays. It's almost a lost skill of society. As if I'm doing something that almost nobody really can do or something. It's just, So let's have a little look at NeoCities and at my website. Okay, so apparently welcome to my little place on the internet. This is the next page of my new website, and I'm just going to give you a little tour. It's not going to be every single page I have on here, but I still want you to visit. But let's have a look at some of the pages. So on our homepage, we have a button that leads to the copyright information, stuff like Creative Commons, DRM, and the privacy as well is on here, privacy statement. I have a little intro, and I have the site rating, which is not yet done because this website is never really finished. I have the blog post for today. There's About Me section. This is completely new writing about me. There is the child-oriented world section. This one contained a lot of writings that I kind of took over from my old website on WordPress that is now officially shut down as I'm recording this. Then I have some little stories over here, some stuff that doesn't really fit anywhere else. I have a page with every single song I have ever created, from the first song, which was On Our Way 2020 for a stop motion video. So you have to select the list A or list B. It's for technical reasons. So all the way from that one to potentially some new songs as the end of the year nears. This is a couple of artworks, from DeviantArt. They're doing fine there, but I wanted to give them a little place, these, because I'm so proud of them. We have a guest book, kind of like the olden days, but I would highly suggest you, when you're done browsing around my website, to leave a little message there and not in the YouTube comments about the website. NS Feels Good is a page mostly about train spotting and my love for railway. There's a page on me and amateur radio, and there are a bunch of other websites that you can go to. So this links back to my YouTube channel as well as some other profiles, but also to a couple of other fellow website owners, both NeoCities and otherwise, that you can give a visit. As well as that, you can actually kind of see some of the things that I use to create this website. So, for instance, the main layout here is kind of inspired by the analog horror film The Service from Harvester. Really shout out Harvester, really great fellow AS scenario maker. So I kind of based my website around your service menus and stuff. Yeah. In addition, I knew a bit of HTML and CSS and JavaScript, but I learned a bit more during the creation of this website, mostly from W3 Schools with a couple tips and inspections by the Mistral AI. I haven't used that for anything else. Even these little buttons, they are from a collection by cyberdabamos.de. Again, shout out to you. And you can also see, that is practically it. So just go and have a visit. And I'll see you another time. Bye bye. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please give a thumbs up and share this video with all your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.